Hey there everyone, today we're going to be talking about the best books for beginning entrepreneurs. Now, to most of our younger viewers, you're probably a little conflicted on how to feel about this. And the reason I know that was because about a year ago, I was in your same position where you were reading book after book on classical literature. And if you're in my same shoes, I hated doing that. And I probably never even read through an entire book. However, my feelings have changed about reading books. And this is why. These books that I'm about to talk to you about go over specific things that I find extremely interesting and that were very useful in my growth and development as an entrepreneur. Now, the reason I bring this up is because my first suggestion would have been to go and find yourself a mentor and model exactly what they're doing in whatever investments they're making and how they're doing it. But just to start off, the next best thing would be going and reading these books that I'm about to talk to you about, because they change your understanding of financial wealth and how you should really think about money. And another thing, I believe that there's a lot of aspects that go into being an entrepreneur, including your personal development as well as your business development. What I mean by that is that the most successful people live their lives a different way. They have a different mentality to handle the stresses that they face every single day in their workspace. And someone who I admire greatly that talks a lot about this is Tony Robbins. He explains exactly what it takes to be able to exponentially grow in your field of business. And he explains why it's so crucially important to master not only your personal mastery, but your business mastery as well. And we're going to be revisiting a few more things about him at the end of this video. And let me first explain what I mean exactly by this. About a year ago, I knew that I wanted to live life on my own terms and that I didn't want to work for someone else. And I had all the drive to learn exactly how to accomplish that. Now, the problem was that even though I had all of this knowledge, I wasn't doing anything with it. And I didn't know where to take it or even how to start for some reason. And it wasn't until UPW of last year in November when I went down to Miami, Florida and attended Tony Robbins' UPW seminar. Here he explained all the personal aspects that is able to take a person from ground zero and build themselves up. And not only that, he tells you exactly how you need to be taking action every day and how to get yourself in that state to where you do take action. And that's where I learned where business mastery and personal mastery go hand in hand, and that I needed to change the way I was behaving. And from there, I took more chances on myself. I ended up going to Sean Callaghan's Integrity-Based Human Influence seminar, where I met my second mentor that has guided me along the process of developing my personal mastery. And because I attended that, I decided that I loved so much what they were doing at Unblinded that I really wanted to be a part of their ecosystem and help them build their company. I'm there to help them in whatever way I possibly can, and I'm using this as a way to build my personal development while hopefully setting up a source of active income at the same time. But let's get started on our first book, and that is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This book was actually originally recommended to me by my first mentor, and sadly I put it off for so long, and I really wish I hadn't, because this book changed the way I thought about business and how to grow my wealth. Now, I'm not going to sit here and give away the whole book and what it's about and go into details, but I will tell you the general basis on what it is about. This book distinguishes the classes between the poor, the middle class, and the rich. And it tells you exactly what they do differently from class to class that distinguishes their wealth. For instance, one strategy it talks about is avoiding taxes legally and how exactly you can do that in the most effective way possible and keep as much of your income as you possibly can. And it also talks about another key aspect of what makes the rich so rich. And that is that rich people only buy assets and never liabilities. What this means is that the rich have found a way to make sure that they're not living paycheck to paycheck. The way they're doing this is by making sure that they're not spending money on things they don't need or they don't have the money for, such as expensive cars, houses, and other things when they're just beginning to build their wealth. Instead, they're going to go and buy assets that produce money for them and grow in value. And if this isn't making that much sense, I set up this flowchart from the book that I'm going to walk you through to help clear some things up. So at your initial look, you'll notice that there's a balance between two groups, and that's your income and expenses and your assets and liabilities. You'll then notice that the three different classes are listed on that page. Now, what distinguishes these three groups the most is that two of them get their money from one spot in particular, and that's from their job. And not only that, if you follow the flowchart of where their money goes after that, for the poor, it goes directly into their income and then to their expenses like their house and food and all their necessities, and then it goes straight out. For the middle class that make a little bit more money, it goes into their income, then to a liability section of the chart, and then into their expenses, and it's out the door. So they not only pay their housing expenses and their necessities, but other things that are more expensive, like cars and luxury goods that they really can't afford. But if you look at where the wealthy get their income, it comes from their assets, and then it only goes into their income. And the reason this is because they have a perfect balance between their liabilities and their assets. And that doesn't mean that their liabilities are exactly what they're making. It means that the liabilities are a portion of what they're making. And if they ever want to have nicer things or get more things, they just continue to buy more assets that appreciate in value. This is how the rich don't get caught in that paycheck to paycheck scheme. Now, these assets that the wealthy have can be anything from homes that they invest in to businesses that run themselves and just bring in cash flow for them. But the jobs that the poor and the middle class are working are things that they have to exchange their time for in order to get hourly wages. And if you follow that plan, you'll only ever be able to make so much income. And one more key distinction that the wealthy do is that after they get their money from their assets and it goes into their income, a portion of that always goes right back into the assets column to purchase more things that appreciate in value. This book was a major turning point for me in becoming an entrepreneur because it taught me how to think differently and what I need to be doing differently with my life than what the average American is doing. Now, on to the second book, The Alchemist. This book was recommended to me by my second mentor, who is also the co-creator of Unblinded with Sean Calgi. This book talks about everything from your personal life and how you should live it to how to grow your business exponentially. Now, even though it doesn't specifically say these things, it all happens through the events in the book. For instance, the main character in the story has to start working at a store to get the money to return home. During his many years at the store, it talks about factors that he changes to help grow the business and bring in more customers. It also discusses other aspects in what is crucially important in building a business. But I think what this book is most important for is explaining exactly how you find your purpose in life. This book talks about how events can change the outcome of your life and what you planned on happening, and how that can actually be a very good thing at times. It also explains in detail what it takes to exactly make it and achieve your goals. This book was a massive inspiration to me in wanting to become an entrepreneur. Now, the last book that I want to talk to you about is The Straight Path to Real Estate by Chris Crone. Now, why this book is so important to me was because this was the building ground of my knowledge on real estate and how everything works and what's involved exactly. This book, along with my first mentor's knowledge on real estate, is the byproduct of everything that I know about real estate. Now, what had blown me away the most was how much I really didn't even know about investing into real estate and the possibilities that it had. In school, during financial literacy class, you would sit down, take notes on the ways that the average person in our society lives their life. And I don't mean this in any negative way, because I think teachers are an essential part of our economy and they get way underpaid what they actually should be. But what was really hard for me and that I didn't completely understand was how I was going to personally learn how to create my financial freedom from someone that didn't know how to exactly create it themselves. And I think it shows in the things that they taught, which was how to make $1 million in over 30 or 40 years from investing in an account that'll only give you about 5 to 6% ROI. Now, while $1 million sounds amazing, I wanted to make my first $1 million before I was 49 years old. But that was never really taught in school, and it was really confusing to me as of why it wasn't. And then it dawned on me, they're only teaching you secure ways to make money because that's how they're making their money. They're living paycheck to paycheck on their essential needs and never getting above that. And they were never able to leave that security and go find something to do for themselves that benefited them even more. So when I got to the point on starting to look on how to make smarter investments, this book came around along with my mentor, and they were able to open my eyes to what the possibilities really were with real estate. In this book specifically, it talks about a very specific type of investing and short-term buy and sell while still being able to receive all the benefits that comes along with real estate, and even more. That type of investing is referred to as compassionate financing in this book. It also walks you through the exact criteria that a home should be hitting when you're looking to purchase an investment property. If you follow this criteria, it keeps you in a very safe and secure area of investing, while having the possibility of earning you 25% and more ROI on your investment properties. And not only that, it explains all the things like equity, cash out refinances, and 1031 exchanges. And this is a book I consider to be second best to having a mentor, and that I would strongly recommend to anyone looking to go into investing into real estate. Now, there's one more thing that I want to leave you with that is going to be the most crucial point in you building your financial freedom. When I went to Tony Robbins' seminar, he said something that has stuck with me ever since that day. And that is that knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. Now let that land for a second, because that's probably not something that you've heard very often. And if you're like me, almost a year ago, this quote would have changed your life, because it would have made you realize that it's not about you obtaining knowledge, even though that's important. It's about you going and doing something effective with that knowledge. So I'm challenging you right now to take that into action and make a difference in your life. and start building the wealth that you want to build. And please leave a comment and let me know what the first action you are going to take today to change your outcomes and your patterns in life. Thank you for watching. Make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button, and I'll see you Friday on the next video.